You are listening to a Cult Talk Network podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to Not Cult of Campbell. This is Cult of Russell.
What?
Yeah. Fine. This has been a long time coming. We've talked about this for a while.
Yeah, I was campaigning pretty hard on this one.
Yeah, this is our spin-off to Cult of Campbell, and we're focusing on another iconic actor. This is Kurt Russell. And with it being Christmas, what better Kurt Russell movie to do than a 2018 Netflix original, The Christmas Chronicles?
Yes.
Yeah, this right here is a Netflix original. I remember when this came out, I had no idea it was coming. Like I must have missed all the promo for it or something. But I remember I just logged on, like this is like around, like I think it released like Thanksgiving weekend, and I remember getting on
November 22nd.
I remember just getting on Netflix at Thanksgiving, and it was on there, and we watched it. My family, like I had no idea it was coming. Like I didn't know anything about it, but that was the first time I watched it. Was 2018, and man, this is a great movie. And Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. Who would have thought?
I mean, this guy nails it. He slaughters it. Just absolutely crushes it.
Before seeing this, if you would have said Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, I don't think I could have like envisioned that. You know what I mean?
No, I had never drawn that parallel before.
You know, once you start looking at like Hateful Eight, you can
kind of see it. Yeah.
But man, yeah, you'd be tough pressed.
So I actually didn't know who Kurt Russell was before this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ.
She's been getting a crash course. Let me tell you.
Wow.
This was pre Bailey Meets the Guys time. So I actually watched this. Yeah, I was home alone for a weekend.
I ask you all the time, like, what the fuck did you do? Like, what does your life consist of? Like, you knew nothing until like 3 years ago. It's like 3 years ago, you like, it's like you must have like just absorbed an exuberant amount of stuff in like 4 or 5 years, because it seems like you knew nothing before that time.
What's the show called?
Were you in a coma up until recently?
I was underneath a rock.
Were you like one of those coma patients?
So one of Bailey's like favorite pastimes, she's like, find a movie that I don't know anything about and just drop me in cold. And I'm like,
that's an easy one. That's an easy one.
It is, but by God, it's a lot of fun, because we did Austin Powers once, and she's like, I've never seen this. I was like, oh my God.
Never seen Austin Powers.
I had never seen Austin Powers.
That was intense.
That is. I couldn't imagine not knowing Austin Powers was when I grew up, because that's like 90% of the quotable lines in like high school or elementary school when I was.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. Jeez.
But yeah, we've done a lot of the classics. We haven't done Escape from New York. We haven't done that one yet. And we haven't done the new Poseidon Adventure, but we've done like Big Trouble in Little China, the thing, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just save the Escape.
This is a perfect opportunity for Bailey to get a crash course.
Yeah.
All the Russellness.
Yeah. I think I said it when we watched The Thing during Culttober, but I've always found it funny that your guys' introduction to Kurt Russell was through The Thing and through these various other movies, and mine was him playing Santa Claus. So to go back and like watch him in The Thing, and to watch him in Big China, or Big Trouble Little China especially, which is actually one of my favorite movies. It's so good. I love it.
I kind of wonder where my first introduction to Kurt Russell was. I don't think it was a thing. I'm trying to think of my earliest memory of Kurt Russell. It'd probably be like Tango and Cash, maybe. I'm thinking like had to have been probably one of his action roles, because that was a lot of stuff my dad watched. It was like the 80s action movies. So
I bet my first one was probably Tombstone. I bet it was Tombstone.
It may have been. Yeah, Tombstone probably is. My dad was a big Western guy. So.
One thing that Bailey illustrates is exactly why we decided to go with Kurt Russell. Like the breadth of this guy's work.
Yeah.
All the different genres that he's been in. Like there's so much material that's in all different directions. Like this is going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
A lot of versatility. It's
and
variety. Yeah.
Romantic comedies, actions. We got horrors.
Which is how he met his wife.
We have a couple opportunities for some Cult of Russell, Cult of Campbell crossovers.
Damn right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have two opportunities for that. So
I'm excited.
You bet your ass will exploit the shit out of that.
Oh yeah,
That is exciting.
Nice theme month. I love doing theme months. So we'll do.
You do like themes, yes, you do.
I'll have to come up with a very clever brandable name for that event.
I'm sure you've already kind of got a storyboard ready to go.
I'll figure it out. But yeah, this has been a long time coming. It was almost like, I think not too long after we started Call to Campbell.
Yes.
We was talking about doing other things. Like it was originally this was going to be like Call to Campbell was going to end and Call to Russell was going to assume that role on the feed that Call to Campbell is now on. But Call to Campbell hit its second wind here last year, so now we're rolling with that. So we decided to make a whole new show, a whole new spin-off.
Oh yeah.
Double up the workload on Michael.
Of course. Yeah. The more you give him, the more he loves it.
Yeah, exactly. He's a workaholic. He's not happy unless he's got audio.
What else is he going to do? Honestly.
Right.
I'm sure we can find something for him to do during this episode.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well, he has to make a whole new theme song now. We have to figure out a new theme song him and I have to work on.
Song.
I got to do new recordings and stuff. So yeah, we got things
new
to
bumpers. He's got to do new bumpers.
Yeah.
We have to do as many bumpers in this episode as we can to do.
So who all was behind this movie, Eric?
Okay,
you're not getting out of that role from the call.
All right, it carries over. Let's see how I do with these fucking pronunciations. Ooh, okay, it was directed by Clay Cadis. Yeah, you saw that too, huh? It's coming up. The screenplay was by Matt Lieberman. Story by Matt Lieberman and David Guggenheim. I feel like I did all right with that one.
Okay. Yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad so far. Yeah. Cinematography by Don Burgess. Edited by Dan Zimmerman. Music by Christoph Beck. The music was pretty good in this.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. And of course, starring Oliver Hudson, Kimberly Williams Paisley, Lamorne Morris. Is that how you pronounce his name? He was in New Girl.
Lamorne Morris. Yeah.
Lamorne Morris. Darby Camp, Judah Lewis, and wait for it, Kurt Russell.
Ooh.
Guest appearance, Goldie Hawn.
Who? Oh yeah, Goldie. I said Colby Kahn. I was like, who the fuck is Colby Kahn?
Guest appearance, Goldie Hawn.
Yeah, guest appearance, Goldie Hawn. I love that casting too. I'm glad they expanded on that in the sequel.
Oh yeah,
that was perfect.
That was great. That is great. I haven't seen the second one yet.
I've never either. I
like it. It's not as good as the first one, but she is the definite high point of the additions.
Yeah, I really like that. That they got Goldie and Kurt as St. and Mrs. Claus. Love that.
Oh,
great casting.
Their grandkids are in it too. Yeah, her son.
Oh, really?
Okay. Who was it that told me that? Yeah.
Her Goldie Hawn's son from her. I don't know if they were married or just from the guy she was with before. Kurt plays the dad.
Oh, okay.
And then, of course, the kid on the television screen that asked for a skateboard.
Bing Bellamy.
And they also say his name, Bing Bellamy, is their grandson. And I guess all of their grandkids are named during that sequence when they're going through the list.
Well,
this is a big old shout out for the Kurt Russell family.
Yeah, that's really cool.
A family film.
Yeah, family is.
It's literally. I mean, to me, that's a cool thing to be able to point that your grandpa did for you, like in the future. Like,
oh heck yeah!
Especially, not to be dour, but after he's like gone, that's something that will always be there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd whip that out every chance I got. Like every Christmas season, like even the day. I would say that's day after Halloween material. Like, so do you guys want to watch what my grandpa did for me? By the way, my grandpa is Santa Claus. Oh yeah, he's Kurt Russell too, but he's Santa Claus. So.
Now, is there any plan to do a third one of these, or is it capped up at two?
I haven't seen one yet, but there also they've not for sure came out and said no. And as far as the last thing I read from Kurt Russell, he actually said that this would be the role that he would die in. That he would keep playing for as long as they would let him. So
because the second one came out the year after, didn't it?
It did. So it wouldn't surprise me if they took a break. I sure hope there's a third one myself.
Yeah, COVID might have derailed a third one. Maybe it's got to get back on track.
I don't know, but anything to get Kurt Russell back as Santa. Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah.
I'm for it.
So I think without further ado, let's talk about the Christmas Chronicles, and we will be doing, if you're a listener of Call to Campbell, we are going to keep the format the same. We've decided to honor the original, and we're going to continue the groovy, not groovy rating system, and just kind of make it about Kurt Russell. We're going to keep the same basic format of Cult of Campbell. So if you like that format, you'll be happy to know that it's going to stick here through Cult of Russell. So without further ado, are you guys ready to get groovy for our Christmas edition of Cult of Russell?
Let's rustle up some review.
Join the Cult of Russell.
It's all in the reflexes.
Fuck you too!
Call me Snake.
Nothing else I can do. Just wait. You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me!
The Christmas Chronicles. I think we talked about it pretty well in the previous segment. So I watched it the first time. Like, I think it was the day of release, or maybe the day after release.
Oh,
was
wow.
the first time I watched it. It was on Thanksgiving of that year, so I don't know how often that'd be, but how many days it was. But the Thanksgiving Day 2018 is when I watched it.
I watched it that Christmas season. I can't pin down what the day was, but it was that season.
I missed this. Bailey. So this is one of the ones that Bailey actually had me watch. And
Ha!
She introduced him to one.
See, Tyler? See?
And
I was blown away. I loved it.
So I didn't. Ben was the one who showed it to me. So that's how late I am to the game. A Christmas or two ago, I think, Ben always puts on like thematic movies to have, whatever the season is. He's got movies running to hit the theme, of course. You know what I mean? And so that was when he's like, oh, you haven't seen this? You have to see this. Kurt Russell is great as Santa.
So this opens up. It takes place real time. It's not like a period piece or like that. So it opens up in Massachusetts, and it's right around Christmas 2018. And I like the there's an element they put in here later that I really like. Not too later, but here early on in the first piece, it kind of sets up the rest of the movie that I thought was kind of cool and like a good, like it could have been a good set for like a horror movie, kind of. I like it. I like it. Our central characters are these two kids. We have Teddy and Kate, their brother and sister. So their dad died, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he died in a fire. He was a firefighter.
He's a firefighter. He died, and they're being taken care of their single mother, who is
their family has a giant Christmas tradition. Runs straight through the heart of their family.
So Kate catches Teddy, so Teddy's like rebelling, obviously, because he's upset about his dad passing away. So he's deciding to express his feelings through being a rebellious little shit. And he is stealing a car. He's going to steal a car.
He's with friends who are stealing the car.
Yeah.
But he's driving.
Yeah. Caught by his sister.
Who records him. Yeah. She records him. Gets him on tape.
She has the camera because her dad always used that camera and filmed their Christmases.
It's the old 90s cassette, like big style video. So she recorded Teddy and she has a fight with him. And to make herself feel better, she watches the old recordings of her parents during Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And this is the part that I thought could have been a good set for a horror movie, is when she's like recording it and like shows like what it's his foot, right? Comes through the chimney.
Hand with a present.
Hand with a present coming through the chimney. And that'd be like a good set for like a Christmas horror film, I think. Like if they want to turn have you ever seen Rare Exports? It's a Finnish film from Finland.
No.
Oh my god, it is so good. It's
Ty, what kind of film are you asking us to watch?
Finnish film, the kind of movie you finished.
Yeah.
No, we've all seen it. Listeners, you've seen this Finnish film, right?
I'm sure it was a big deal when it came out. It was like it's a horror movie out of Finland, and it's about Santa Claus, but it takes it from the Finnish lore, where I guess he's kind of like, it's basically Krampus is a lot of the lore in Finland around Santa Claus is he's like more of a malevolent kind of presence, and it's about like being good, not for gifts, but just so you don't get taken by Santa Claus. But
more of a turned kind of Santa.
Yeah, and these these hunters end up like catching a Santa Claus.
Oh.
And it's not like the Santa, it's like basically a Santa minion. And they end up finding this gigantic like Krampus. It's like a giant. It's like a gigantic like 50-foot monster thing frozen in ice. Where all
we
these
covered this. What were those called? Start with a P.
Perktas?
Perkta.
The
Perkta.
Perkta, okay.
Was the plural. Yeah.
Yeah, the Perkton.
Yeah.
That's what those are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Check out a lot of lore.
Yeah,
that's a wild
one.
one.
Our Krampus episode.
You should
Released
watch
last
it
night.
because it's like last night Krampus. Because it's like it was a little film when it came out here, but over in Finland it was like a blockbuster. It was like a big movie, and it's shot really well. And it's like they do a really good job of shooting it in the snow and with the lights and everything. It just looks really nice. But yeah, check that out if you can. It's one of the better Christmas horror movies out there.
Wow,
and a lot of people know about. So it's from Finland. It's on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
I think
It's called Rare Exports.
Yeah.
Rare Exports. Yeah.
Rare Exports.
Okay,
Yeah, really good.
interesting.
Like the trailer at least. You'll be hooked on it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so I thought this would be a good setup for a like Christmas horror movie. Like it's kind of like just hearing about it. It's kind of a creepy concept. You know, they're watching a video and you just see in the background a hand come through the chimney or whatever.
Yeah,
it can be kind of spun in a horrific way or a creepy way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole kind of first act, you're right. Like, because they're catching signs of Santa as they go, and they could if they horrified it, make up a word, made it more of a horror element. The boots going across the roof and stuff. Like, they could have done it with a different tone and made it scary.
But luckily, that's not what they did.
No, that's not what we're getting in this. This is
I'm glad they
lot
didn't
more
do that.
jovial. Yeah, I don't want to see Kurt Russell in a Santa Claus horror movie.
No,
that's not the way I want to see it. This is a lot more jovial than that.
It is.
They basically Kate decide, she sees this and it really resonates with her, and she sees it as proof of Santa Claus' existence. So she makes Teddy basically go along. He's got to help her catch Santa or just see Santa.
Get Santa on tape.
Get Santa on tape, and
she blackmails him to do it.
Yep, threatens him with the tape. Classic sibling blackmail.
Totally.
Always works.
Stealing a car.
Yeah, for real, little shit.
Yeah.
Stealing a car ain't gonna bring your daddy back. So he so he steals a car. She blackmails him into that. And one thing I really like about this is that they go to Chicago at one point, which Chicago will always have like a Christmas vibe to me just because of John Hughes and all the shit he does with Home Alone and
for sure. That's a good point.
Yeah, Chicago will always. I've never had a Christmas in Chicago, but I feel like Chicago is a good place to have Christmas because of John Hughes and all the movies he sets in those.
It looks like it could exist in the fucking North Pole. Anytime I've been there, it has been so cold.
I've only been there in the fall. I've never been there in the summer.
Yeah,
no winter.
I don't believe that any time of year you go there, it's going to be warm. Just not in my experience, but Christmas.
I should check that out. I love the cold. I prefer the cold than
I'd rather have to bundle up than try to take off layers.
I only like the cold because of the fashion.
The fashion?
I'm not kidding. The fashion, the coats, the hats, the gloves, the boots.
I prefer to bundle up.
Yeah.
I like being cold. I just like being cold. It's not even bundling up. I just like to be cold. I don't know.
Yeah.
I definitely sleep better cold. That's for sure.
Yeah. Me and Mike, we'd fight all the time when we lived together. Cause he's like we're like polar opposites where he likes to have the house fucking toasty. Like he's keeping a fucking boa constrictor somewhere in the house. And I tell him all the time, I'd come home and be like, it's really fucked up that you would buy a boa constrictor and hide in this house without talking to me first. That's the only justification I can see for keeping a house this uncomfortably warm.
I've had it up to 74 in the house before. So, I mean.
So while we were talking about temperature, these two kids, Kate and Teddy, fell asleep while they were waiting for Santa.
Yep. Yes, they did. They were bored by our conversation.
They were bored by our conversation, And
that's where they're startled by
awake.
Yeah, startled awake. And there we get they look up and they see Santa.
Yeah. She wakes up. Kate wakes up first, and she's got it all on tape and can't quite get her brother up until after Santa's gone.
Yeah, Santa's gone. Yeah. The kids get up on the roof and they get in the sleigh, right?
Yep. They go out the alley and climb up a telephone pole and jump into the back of Santa's sleigh, as you do.
As you do. And this is where they go to Chicago.
Santa doesn't notice them in the sleigh. I loved how Kurt Russell just like chucks the bag into the back and right over the kids, and that's why he doesn't see him. And just
he's not expecting anyone to be back there.
And off they go. And this leads to one of the best single moments in this movie to me, when Santa discovers those kids on the sleigh and everybody screams. Just the look on his face, the way he screamed. It was and that throws the sleigh out of whack. The reindeer break free. Santa's hat flies off, and the bag goes off into the wind.
They crash land in Chicago.
Yep. And Santa loses his bag as well as his hat, right?
Yep.
He loses the hat.
Bag, hat.
And the reindeer.
Yep.
And the reindeer. That's right. The reindeer. He loses them as well. And we also get the elves, right? She sees the elves.
Not quite yet.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they come in at like the second half of the movie.
Yeah. So this is when we get our first good look at Santa. And I mean, I love Santa's look in this movie.
Oh, I did.
Leather and fur. It's kind of got this kind of woodsman feel, but also like royalty kind of going on.
Yep.
Kurt Russell's, that's his natural hair and beard, and he rocks like an absolute boss.
His natural
That was him. Yeah.
beard?
Oh,
That was all him.
That's all him.
That's amazing.
That's why I told you.
Great.
That's why I told you I wanted to know what he used, because I'm like, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I figured it was his real hair.
No.
Because I've seen his hair kind of look like that before in a way that I could see it. I had no idea that was his actual beard.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. He looks great.
Oh, yeah.
He looks great like that. He does. He looks like a king.
He does.
Yeah.
And his attitude as Santa is pitch perfect. He's slightly serious, but he's got a little bit of like kind of mischievousness to him.
Yeah. He's got enough like no nonsense to him, but also like he's his own little.
If you poke him hard enough, you might get him to do something. But
he pulls off the like while the whole crisis is going on, he's like, hold on, kids, like da-da-da. He's got this like boss man, like get it done kind of thing.
Yeah,
but
he never feels like he's panicking.
Yeah, he immediately cares. It was never like, what the hell are you kids doing on this thing? This is all your fault. It's just like, well,
shit.
Yeah.
So the sleigh's wrecked, the reindeer are gone. Santa basically explains that if they do not get back on track and start delivering presents as soon as possible, the Christmas spirit will be lost.
Right.
Oh, yes.
And this turns out to be kind of a big deal because and fast too. Like he's saying like by morning, the world's going to be like way crazier,
way angrier,
more depressed, more crime.
Yeah. He tells later a couple of cops that like the crimes are going to increase. The jail cells will be full.
Yeah.
People are going to start becoming just massive dicks.
Yeah.
This is like one of the things this movie and every Santa Claus movie does. It'd be interesting to one day explore like all the different Santa lore and movies. Did you guys do that on Krampus or?
No,
that'd be interesting.
no. The big guy's
it's all Krampus. Yeah, it's all Krampus.
Sure.
Yeah. Because I mean, like you look at like the Santa Claus, this like all these different Christmas movies all have. It's interesting how they. I guess interpret all Santa's magical powers, what the hat means, what the bag means, the sleigh, the reindeer, all that. It's super interesting how all these different versions of Santas have their own personality based on all these all the iconography. Because even that I watched that Violent Night movie with David Harbour as the name, Stranger Things.
Right. Yep. Harbour,
I watched that. And he's got even that Santa had its own take on different elements of Santa, and took a more like Nordic approach to it. And we watched last year that Librarians thing with Bruce Campbell, where he was basically all the different Santa Clauses combined, depending on which element he had. He would be a different Santa, like just stuff like that. Super interesting how these movies perceive the Santa lore.
I know. Yeah, I agree. And it's got a lot of like iconic stuff to it. And they bring like this one presents like the familiar things with a lot of originality, I think. That is really cool. I said,
like they make his hat a pretty big part of him, which is usually just a thing.
Seemingly, I think it turns out that the hat not so much.
That actually ends up being a complete lie that he told.
Yeah, which I thought that was kind of cool about his character too, is he was testing people all the time along the way, and in a way that he's like setting them up for success. He's teeing them up, and you see him
he
do it.
Encourages them to do the right thing.
Yeah, and even if he's got to do a little trickery with it, so it's kind of like he was playing the long. It felt like he was playing the long con with these kids, but like you saw it even with like little minor characters along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
especially in the restaurant when he's
yeah.
going around trying to find a ride and for someone to give up their car.
And in the jail, yes, Santa gets arrested. Dun, dun, dun.
Yep.
Ty, in the restaurant, when that lady tears up that card, would you not physically assault her?
I feel like that would probably be the appropriate response to that.
So that card sells for like $3.8 million.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's
Just Santa pulled it out of his sleeve, and there it was.
So anyway, they crash the sleigh, and Santa's like, I have to get everything back on track. And the kids, to their credit, they feel bad for causing the problem, so they agree to help him, which is what leads to the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they start off he just is like, all right, it's like he's relying on the goodwill of the people, He's just going around. He's never hiding who he is. He's
not at
Santa
all.
Claus.
Not even a lick.
Yeah. That's where he goes to the restaurant that we were kind of talking about, where we learned like he knows everybody's name,
which is called Nick's Place.
Yep. The pub was called Nick's Place.
Nick's
That's
Place.
great.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that. He knows what they wanted for Christmas, which is where that card came into play. He just pulled it out of his sleeve for that guy and tried to trade it for his car.
He knew their behavior for the year.
Yep, whether they were naughty or nice and what they did.
Did you notice that when he came up to Larry and Sheila, the one with the couple with the card, how he goes, Larry, Sheila?
He's like, oh, fuck.
Like, I see you brought her with you.
Still carrying her around, huh, Larry? Man. Thought when I delivered you that box of Kleenex when you were in high school, you were going to get rid of her. Damn, man.
But he's not able to get much help from the restaurant, and they get
He's
kicked
able to
out.
speak a whole bunch of different languages, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He knew everyone's language.
Multilingual.
Even though one of them was like, and I also speak English, asshole. Like,
Yeah. Santa.
Don't be mean to Santa.
but they end up stealing a stolen car because Santa knows the naughty thing that the bartender had done.
Bartender stole a car, and it's a bright red Dodge Challenger, I believe.
Yeah.
Of course.
And he's still able to navigate the streets with a slight adjustment. Like, oh yeah, no, I'm used to the sleigh. No, take us down this road, and this road.
He knows all the addresses.
Which is badass, like seeing Santa, like Kurt Russell Santa in a bright red Dodge Charger.
So,
yes.
So if they wanted to push it just a little bit, couldn't you see him like getting cornered and like ended up like beating the crap out of a couple of thugs in the alley like that Kurt Russell Santa? Like that Santa could throw down easy.
Oh, I'm sure.
I even dare say he'd be kind of laughing along the way, like having fun with it.
Like he was when he was like, so they get into a cop chase.
Oh yeah, yep.
Because the kid, the brother, is driving the car, and they get into a cop chase, and then Santa actually ends up switching in places, and he's laughing the whole time that he's driving.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments in it is he actually looks at the kid. And he goes, "I think I can lose him."
Like all excited, like
he gets all excited that he's running from the cops. He's like, "I never get to do anything but deliver presents. This is amazing."
But he's not that good of a driver. He ends up kind of wrecking the car after a sweet jump. And
he says, if you ever meet Mrs. Claus, leave this part out.
And that's where they kind of have to split up.
Yep, because
the police are closing in.
Kate finds the reindeer and manages to herd them towards the cops, Santa and her brother Teddy. That's his name, Teddy.
Teddy, yeah. Kate remembers what her mom taught her, that reindeer really like candy canes and tames them. Yeah.
And so she and Teddy managed to escape the police by riding on reindeer.
Yeah.
But Santa gets caught.
Caught and arrested. And that's where he gets taken to the jail, where he spends a lot of the third act.
A decent chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
But man, that's my favorite stuff for him, I think.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Because they still give him plenty to do. While he's there, he's doing what he can to fight for the Christmas spirit, which is quickly dwindling.
Yeah, as Santa is not delivering presents, the Christmas spirit is slowly dying.
Yep, just ticking down.
Which is an interesting concept. You always hear the Christmas spirit, so it's interesting to for them to elaborate more on that.
Yeah, give it a little more of a
dire,
feel for it.
A little more dire too. It was like,
without
Christmas, it's the end of the world, basically.
Yeah. things are just going to just erupt into naughtiness and chaos.
I don't know. I feel like people get a little nicer around Christmas time. Like it's a very joyful time.
Because of Kurt Russell and his, he's maintaining the Christmas cheer spirit.
He is.
And now this is where Kate, they find the bag, right?
Right. Yes. And Kate crawls inside.
Yep.
And this is where
Looking
you
for the elves.
see the elves. Now, what do you guys think of the elves?
Oh, I love them. They're adorable.
That's the only
I love
part
them.
I'm not completely sold on. I like Santa, but I still haven't fully bought into the elves. I don't know.
I love
They're
the
not my
elves.
favorite aspect. I get why they did them that way because like definitely it's a marketable looking. Those elves are very appealing. I'm sure to like
Because they're
kids.
cute.
They are.
They
They're very marketable. I think they did like a Macy's Day balloon of one of them or something like that.
That would make sense.
But
It's kind of
I
that
mean,
Smurf sort of thing where they all have like very iconic elements to their look, and they're cute and except
Vaguely feline.
yeah.
Although they try to chainsaw a kid's balls off.
That was crazy. They were crazy.
I mean, let's not undersell it, the vicious little fucks.
Yeah. And
She was very excited to be like, let's get him too. Like
once they got unleashed, they were
they were ready.
ready to go.
Here's what I think happened. His character from The Thing freezes to death, or not freezes to death, but the elves find him,
Oh,
and
okay.
then takes him away to,
That's where McGreedy.
and that's how he becomes Santa Claus.
Yeah, McGreedy is Santa Claus.
McGreedy is Santa Claus.
McGreedy is Santa Claus.
That's an interesting fan theory.
And they knew he wasn't the Thing. That's
They
why he got
did.
to live.
Oh, Ty,
Yeah.
while we're on the subject of reaching, I would just like to publicly state that I do not endorse Eric's argument about the coin flipping.
From the Call to Camera.
That blew my mind. The fact that
What?
you can make all the Jesus allegories you want, but how the hell did you draw someone having a coin
Double-sided coin.
in a Bruce Campbell Hallmark film to Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight? That blew my mind when he said that.
Blew your mind.
That blew my mind. I was like, how far are you stretching
They
these
both
days?
had. Hey,
You were
we
just
had Michael look it
grasping
up.
at.
There were no other movies that weren't related to Two-Face that had that trope in it.
I guarantee no Hallmark executive was like, yeah, we'll green like this, but we really need to make sure we kind of squeeze in a Dark Knight.
No, he didn't do it. That was a writer thinking he was going to be clever. It's like these fandoms don't
the writer's
cross
like, yeah.
over.
The writer's like, yeah. All the cross audience between the Dark Knight and Hallmark movies are going to really appreciate this reference.
He may as well have flipped that coin and then winked at his, child and said, I make my own luck. Seriously,
Oh boy.
whatever.
Jeez.
It's just not that big of a leap is all I'm saying.
That was a huge leap.
That was not a huge leap.
That was egregious. That was
not
egregious,
only
sir.
the same
That
prop,
was an
but
egregious
the
argument,
same
sir.
plot device. The same plot device. Agree with me if this coin. Agree with me if the coin lands on heads. Oh, what do you know? It landed on heads. Guess we're doing it my way.
Well,
It's the same thing.
Bruce
In both
Campbell
movies.
plays a guitar, so it might as well be a Walk the Line reference as well in there.
I've seen the kind of movies you like.
Yeah, I don't draw wild comparisons
That is not a
to
wild
Christopher Nolan
comparison.
films.
Same prop, same plot point, same plot device.
I never said, Alien Apocalypse, Bruce Campbell's in a spacesuit. Obviously, that was a reference to Interstellar. I never said that. I don't draw these wild, egregious comparisons.
Nuts. Why would you bring this back up on Christmas? I have to be angry on Christmas.
Angry? You should be ashamed. It's like,
Why are you angry?
Because I
You should
can't
be ashamed, sir.
I can't. Ashamed. This is insulting. Please.
I
If
agree.
you
It
guys
is
have-
insulting. It is insulting.
Oh, my fucking face hurts.
I beg of you people to go back and watch that episode and leave a comment agreeing with Eric.
Yeah. Tell me if you watched One December Night and your first thought was like, oh, that's a pretty nice Dark Knight reference.
Oh, I'll bet you it made a lot of people think of The Dark Knight. I'll bet
Why?
you it did. I'll bet you it did.
I will bet
Because
you it did
it's-
not.
Why wouldn't they?
Because
It's the same
I guarantee most of the old women watching the Hallmark Channel aren't big.
Well,
Christopher
okay,
Nolan
there
Dark
you
Knight
go.
fans.
That's a good point. Again, that goes back to my point about the writer probably thinking, oh, these fandoms won't cross. No one will catch this. May as well. Betcha.
Where were we?
I don't know.
You guys could take over the plot from here. You.
Hell, I don't know where we were at in the plot.
Yeah, I know you
What
don't
the
because you don't
hell?
pay attention to anything. That's why you missed the
I
coin.
do.
Reference.
Okay.
You went right over your head because you weren't paying attention. It was right in your face the whole time.
This is Christmas, damn it.
So they wreck the car and they get away on the reindeer.
It might as well be a
and Santa
prequel
gets
for all we
arrested.
know. Yeah,
Stop it.
You did this.
that's why Ledger was so maniacal. His country western duo failed on their reunion, and that sent on a whole spiral to Gotham City, where he
I'm not saying it's
it's a shared universe.
that's not what I'm saying.
I'm gonna change the thumbnail to the one December night to the secret Dark Knight prequel. So,
Oh my
Oh
god!
man, don't do that. Don't do that.
We'll get too many views
Oh,
on that.
Man, that would be so much hate.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the
anyway,
movie,
back on track.
the movie splits off into two storylines at this point. We have Santa in jail dealing with the things that he's dealing with, and we have the kids getting the sack so that they can get the elves to bust Santa out of jail. Santa gets interviewed by the cop that arrests him and actually pulls off a pretty cool gag. I really like this. He pulls out a series of like 6 toys and lays them on the interrogation table. And they are all the things that the cop wanted for Christmas from ages like 1 through 6.
Yeah.
Just randomly out of his pockets.
Yeah,
And he's like, I would have kept going, but you interrupted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he tells him, he's like, your ex-wife, she really wants to talk to you. She actually wants you back for Christmas. But he still gets thrown into a cell because the cop's a hard ass. Meanwhile, the kids find the sack. Kate crawls inside to go find the elves. And she finds out, and I thought this was pretty cool, is the sack is actually a wormhole
Yes.
that leads to the North Pole where all the presents are.
Kind of like Alice in Wonderland style almost.
Yeah. You go in so far that you actually reverse and you come out in the North Pole where all the presents are being fed.
And all the presents floating around was really pretty.
Oh, it was
That
beautiful.
was beautiful.
yeah.
She's floating around like this big prism with colored area with like cars floating in all the territory, floating
like
in all the areas.
Looks like the northern lights in the background. It's beautiful. The
We're gonna-
car, there was a car floating around in there too.
We're gonna have to pause for a second. This is too much. Gypsy's got a big glob of slime hanging from her mouth, and she is
Oh.
just determined to stick her face in Eric's lap, and Eric's like trying to crawl out of the seat. Okay, so and she goes into the North Pole to see Santa's like workshop, and I really like this design. It's like the old rustic fireplace.
Mhm.
There's antlers. It carries on that same feel as his suit with a kind of mountain man, the
Yeah.
leather and kind of primitive build. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
And Teddy is on the outside and he gets kidnapped.
Kidnapped
Yep.
by Chicago
Thugs.
gang thugs.
Thugs.
Yep.
Thugs.
I thought it was funny that, he was acting like a wannabe thug and then he got kidnapped by thugs.
Yeah, he kind of figures out that he's not as
Right.
bad as he thought he was.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you thought you were Billy Badass till
that's such a good
you
point.
met Billy Badass.
While that's happening, Santa is in the cells and he actually manages to use Christmas magic to turn all of the criminals he's in there with into a band to sing a Christmas song.
Yeah,
Oh,
as you do,
Oh, that was
See.
beautiful.
as you do. Yeah, I like that
Yes, you
part a
do.
lot.
Yeah, it was great because that's Kurt Russell singing.
And
Oh, yeah.
and they sing, of course, Santa Claus is back in town.
Yep.
Santa
Oh,
Claus is back. in
Nice
town.
blues riff to it.
Yeah. And that was, you said a real band?
That was a real band. I'll try to find it. Let me find what their names were.
Yeah, Kurt Russell's actually a pretty good singer, right? Like he has like a little, because he's done like, how didn't he sing? And he's sung in a couple movies, hasn't he? 'Cause he did that Elvis movie back in the day. I think he
Yeah.
did the vocals for.
Oh, I'm sure
John
he
Carpenter.
has.
I think
But,
I was.
Let's
Go ahead.
see.
I think I read somewhere that he is an Elvis impersonator or was an Elvis impersonator.
Oh.
at
He's
the time.
done
Cool.
2 Elvis movies. He did Elvis, made for TV movie directed by John Carpenter,
Oh, cool.
and then he did one of my favorite Kurt Russell movies that no one else seems to like, 3,000 Miles to Graceland. I fucking love that movie. No one else
I
seems
have
to really
not
give a
seen
shit
that
about.
movie.
It's
We're
a
gonna
bad
add
movie,
that.
but I like it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So the band is called the Disciples of Soul.
Ooh.
That's the
Ooh.
name. That's the name of the band that plays with him on screen.
That's a cool name.
So he's doing that. He's doing the best he can to keep like the Christmas spirit from dropping any further. And Teddy stands up to the criminals, take him back to their their hideout. They meet the leader.
Their forts.
Yeah.
Their warehouse fort.
It's a garage.
Yeah.
Listen, they had boxes and a
warehouse
tarp,
fort.
and it said He-Man woman haters, and I didn't see no girls nowhere. It's a fort.
It was a fort that had recycling.
Yeah, it was a recycling fort. What up? Big
Yeah.
whoop. Want to fight about it?
And then we kind of get back to where this movie could have been a horror movie.
Yeah.
Ooh, again, back to the
Yeah.
horror.
I'll give you this one.
Yeah. So while Kate is in the North Pole, she makes friends with the elves, and they find out that she is a true believer, meaning that no matter what her age was, she still believed in Santa Claus.
Yeah. And they loved that about her.
They
That-
did.
that
It was
was a
very happy.
true believer. That was a chant, a celebration, tons of these little furry Nordic looking elf things just dancing around and chanting true believer.
But they didn't start untying her yet.
No, you're right. They didn't, did
They
they?
celebrated first, then untied her.
But they emerge from this, from Santa's sack after things start going a little wrong for Ted because they, oh, I'm skipping over it, but I loved that gag where like they started opening presents out of the bag, these gangsters did, and they each present had coal in it.
Yep, it was nothing but coal. That's all they could get.
That was great. That was so good. And that pissed them off and things started getting bad. They almost burned the bag, but
Yep.
that was Ted's chance to kind of fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
He grabbed it out of there,
He grabs a stick.
grabs a stick. He's going to fight off the thugs.
And then the elves come erupting out like little spawns from hell.
Oh my God. It kind of reminded me a little bit of like the parts of like Evil Dead where the little Army of Darkness where the little ashes are running around
Yeah, yeah.
causing mayhem, just
Oh,
like, you know,
Yeah. See, that makes
amped
more
up,
sense
just
than.
terrorizing these poor guys.
I just like that they had the first one pop out and there's the fire like right behind it. Because it
Right.
looks so
Oh.
cute. You just want to squish it. And then it looks like an evil demon. And
Yeah,
you're like,
like
"Ah!"
They were great. They were fun.
I love those
Yeah,
elves.
they weren't as bad. It's just, when I first saw them, I wasn't sold on them, but
It was-
they can be fun.
I understand what you mean. I think when I first saw this movie, it's like, well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
It's a choice. That is a choice. But like, it grew on me right away because
Yeah,
they're just
oh,
so
yeah.
like the gibberish that they speak in. That sounds like I wonder if it is just gibberish because it seems to be very specific.
I didn't find anything about the language they speak, but it definitely sounded like it had stuff that
Some sort of like Scandinavian or Germanic
Yeah.
kind of.
They just referred to it as Elvish.
They did,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was cool. It felt like a real language. It wasn't just like chipmunk noises.
Yeah.
So the elves save the kids and the elves save Santa, which then leads to them. The elves are able to repair the sleigh so that they can get back on track. And the kids and the elves help Santa deliver the presents because they've run out of time. And I really like this scene. I thought that whole montage of them delivering the presents was great.
Mm-hmm.
You had Teddy, who was driving the sleigh, and there was a moment where he was learning how to drive the sleigh and he's careening towards a train.
Oh, yes.
And Santa's behind him. He's like, you need to believe in yourself like I believe in you, like your sister believes in you, like your mom did, like your dad did. And there's a saying that the family has because their last name is Pierce, and that's Pierce always sees it through. It must have been what his dad said. It was what his dad said. And so Santa gets him to say this thing, and there's a really good piece of acting on Kurt Russell's part where he's kind of over Teddy's shoulder and he goes, and Pierce, and he's waiting for Teddy to repeat it. And when Teddy shouts it out, Kurt Russell just like makes this motion with his hand and he just goes, yeah, like in the background. It's really fast and it's not in the center, but it's just like this really good moment that he mustered up where it's like Santa knew he was going to do it. He was just waiting for him to do it. It was good stuff. And they do, Kate ends up being the one that's reading Santa's book so that the elves and Santa can deliver the presents to the right addresses. There's some cool nods there to, like we said before, Kurt Russell's grandkids, including Bing Bellamy.
Bing Bellamy.
Which is an interesting name. Bing
yeah,
Bellamy.
very, very, very interesting.
But they save Christmas. They get home and Santa does this really nice thing for their mom because they forgot to get their mom a present, and he uses his magic to decorate the house just the way their dad used to.
No.
Yeah.
They get to say their goodbyes to Santa, and we finally get a ho 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 because a few of the things that Kurt Russell Santa is kind of rebelling against is, one, he's not a fat man.
Yep.
Yes.
No.
He's pissed about that. Mad as hell. He brings it up every time he sees it. And then a moment that I think is probably what I think is the funniest moment is when Teddy's learning to fly the sleigh. He crashes through a billboard of a chubby Santa, and Kurt Russell just starts laughing. He's like, "Take that, Batman!"
Yeah. He's so upset.
Yeah.
And so at the end of this, the kids are hugging, and the mom is able to relax and smile for the first time because she's obviously emotionally distraught over losing the dad, and the kids are fighting. And it is just a good, satisfying ending to a good, satisfying fight.
It's beautiful because it's the first Christmas they have without their dad, and then like when they walk in, it was beautiful. It's such a good moment.
Yeah.
There is a few things I'm leaving out, but there's a few details I'm leaving out on purpose because, man, you guys need to watch this. You need to watch this movie.
Yeah. Yep.
If you want to see Santa Claus as a rock star, you really have to watch this movie. And just for the ho 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 alone, that makes it.
Yeah, just doing a flyby, pointing right at the kids. Ho ho ho.
So when I first watched the movie, the very, very first time, I thought he wasn't going to do it. I thought he was just going to leave.
Right, just leave it at that. Like, no, ho ho ho.
Like, no, like, because he said, just for you, just this once. But then he like kind of, he gets on the sleigh and does a loop-de-loop and then turns around. I thought he was just going to go away and be like, okay, maybe next year if you're good enough. Like,
yeah, I kind of thought we'd hear it from the sky, like just echoing back at them or something.
No.
But no.
It's great.
Oh,
Phenomenal.
it was good. It looked like a rock star there.
Oh, yeah. So there you have it. That was The Christmas Chronicles, Netflix original movie, 2018. So I think now we'll go over and get to our next segment. It's not the quality of Campbell. We're talking the quality of Russell.
Glad you remember me. Man should remember his past.
So now we're talking the quality of Russell, the rating of Russell.
The
Russell rating.
of Russell.
Yeah. We'll get it.
We
we'll
like
get
alliteration.
It. Yeah, we do like alliteration. So we're talking about Kurt Russell here and the Christmas Chronicles. We just broke down the movie here on this Christmas day. And of course, we're all here for Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. So Ben, what'd you think of the quality of Russell, the rating of Russell? What'd you think of him?
Oh, this is top quality Russell. This is this is Russell having a blast. This might not be like his most technically complex portrayal that he's ever done in his life, right? But this is a role that he clearly wanted to do, that he put his entire heart into. He just absolutely crushes this. Has the time of his life. I could watch. He said that he would do this role until the day he dies. I could watch him doing it till the day he dies. Phenomenal.
I agree. This is like I said, I never would have thought of Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. Never would have drawn that comparison. Just never was in my mind seeing Kurt Russell as Santa Claus. But the first time you see him in it, like, he is a damn good Santa Claus, and I love it. I have problems with the movie, but nothing that I can pertain to Kurt Russell, because every time he's on screen, man, it's so good. He's perfect as Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. For me, it's definitely like I think there's a nice blend in there, because he could have been like too gruff, right? You know, like, I don't say ho 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 is in there in the character, you know, and he also like takes note of the naughtiness and stuff like that. And he could have played like, you know, too gruff of a character, or he could have kind of seemed a little like weak if he's delivering these kind of more challenging lines, like, you know, da da da. He could have come across as weak if he tried to be a little bit more jolly and nice, too nice. It's kind of like, it's reminding me of what I'm thinking about right now to compare is like the two Dumbledores that we got. Yeah. One was very like, you know, soft spoken and, you know, and the other one had this deep booming voice. And somehow Kurt like pulls off this kind of weird.
Splits the difference.
Splits the difference, where it's like he definitely has a big heart. He cares a lot, but he's also, you know, standing tall and, you know, trying to get business done. He's like, Christmas needs to happen. But I don't know. There's a lot going on with his performance for like what I would also consider a pretty like straightforward character. Like, he doesn't really have an arc in the movie.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not forced, which makes sense. He's Santa, you know.
Wouldn't really want it.
Yeah, he's a good instigator of other people's arcs. And so I just I feel like he's just got this unique Santa that also feels right. Like this is what Santa should feel like. So I don't know. He just nailed it. It's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think his performance was great. He really, to not echo you, because I agree with everything that you're saying,
Sure,
he does
right.
have like this mischievousness to him also,
yeah.
which is really cool. You see that a lot when you're in the car chase, especially when he's like, don't tell Mrs. Claus. And especially at the end, because we do get a scene with Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Goldie Hawn.
Goldie Hawn.
Still look at, she's rocking that Mrs. Claus outfit.
I love her because she also has like the matching red women's fit coat with the large hood, and it just looks fat. And she's out getting firewood. She went out and chopped her up some firewood like a real woman.
Oh yeah, we didn't mention that at the end. We get the Goldie.
Yeah.
Yep, Goldie Hawn is Mrs. Claus.
She
Yeah,
is.
makes
She's
her
Mrs.
cameo.
Claus. She did a really good job too. I was really impressed. But they said they're like, "Well, do you want to watch a movie?" And she goes, or no, the line was "drop of a hat," because she goes to tell him that the village is really buzzing, and Santa says, "Well, you know how the elves like to stir up something at the drop of a hat," and she goes, "Especially when it's yours."
Hinting that she knew what
Hinting
was
she knows.
Oh, yeah.
So I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful performance. He definitely has that, sort of like someone you look up to vibe. Like nothing is ever really wrong. Like very just always calm. But also has that fun, mischievous side as well that I really enjoyed.
So here we have it. We're going to give our very first rating of Russell, and as we said earlier, we are keeping it the groovy, not groovy rating system we've used for the Cult of Campbell, and honestly, it fits with Kurt. I think.
Sure, yeah,
Kurt Russell
he's a very
fits.
groovy type guy.
Yeah. He is. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'll go ahead and do this. I'm going to give this movie a very jolly, groovy, because this is awesome. How can you not like Kurt Russell as Santa Claus? You never knew you needed it, but
Yes.
But the minute you got it, you can't do without
no,
it.
you can't do without it. It's fantastic. It's he definitely ranks up there somewhere on my list of favorite Santa Clauses. I'm sure pretty high, but for sure, I mean, it's amazing. It's awesome, and the world they build around him and the lore they flesh out, I think it's very interesting as well.
I'm without further ado, I think this movie rustles up a groovy from me.
Look away, Kurt. I gotta assault him. I'm sorry, Santa. Christmas Eve is over. You've had your chance to give me presents. I got all next year to make up for this.
Help! What about you, Ben?
Yeah, this is definitely a groovy. This actually replaced. So Richard Attenborough was my favorite Santa from Miracle on 34th Street. I love that movie, and he was my favorite Santa. Tim Allen was second, of course, but then Kurt Russell came in, blew it out of the water. He took first, moving everybody down a rank. Groovy. I would take this all the time.
Nice.
Nope, can't go wrong with him as Santa.
We should do a Santa matchup sometime. The different Santas.
Absolutely.
Ooh, that'd be
Next.
tough.
Babe, what you think?
Yeah.
Groovy, definitely groovy. I've shown this movie to so many people. I actually showed it to Ben's family one of the first Christmases we spent together. I love it. Such a feel-good movie. Just gets you right in the Christmas spirit. Groovy all the way around.
And thanks for getting Ben and then I into this movie.
See, I've pulled so many people.
So there we have it. That's the very first episode of Cult of Russell, and we have our very first certified groovy.
Very
for Cult
different
of
from
Russell.
our opening of Cult of Campbell.
Boy, we just have to keep bringing that up, don't we?
Where we rated 19 the original horror classic Evil Dead a not groovy. So if you want to go listen to that,
Hey, listen, we defended our reasons.
we did. I did that at the live show. I did that at the live show at Bruce Fest, and everyone, when I first said it, everyone was like, "Oh no!" And then I broke it down, and everyone was like, "Yeah, okay."
Good
They're like,
for
okay,
you.
we won't burn you at the stake.
That's
Good
right.
for you.
That's right. We have our reasons, and they're defendable. So you
Oh,
kiss
yeah.
my ass.
Good for you. I'm proud.
But
My
man,
brave, sweet people.
Connor Russell. Oh yeah, I saw as soon as I brought that up on stage, I saw Eric just like, why, why are you doing this?
Head in hands, just like.
Oh god.
Do we have video recording of that?
No, we have audio. It's on the.
I want
But
video.
you can hear me go, why would you?
Yeah,
burn me?"
he's like,
No, I
"Why
I want to see him squirm.
Why would you do
I want to see how far he shrinks back in that seat.
He just reverts back into his turtle shell. No.
Oh shit! But yeah,
oh man.
But the Christmas Chronicles gets a certified groovy, and this opens up room for a sequel next year. We can do the Christmas Chronicles 2 next year for Christmas as part of Cult of Russell. So man, we already have a good bit of next year's Cult Talk Christmas laid out already. Yeah,
including Cultober. Gee whiz!
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, Bruce is luckily doing a Hallmark Christmas movie a year now, so I've got 3 years worth of Christmas movies we can do for that. And we got this for Cult of Russell. Oh man,
blessed. Huh?
If they're of quality of One December Night, I'm very pleased.
Yeah. I think One December Night was really good.
Yeah, cause it wasn't a typical Hallmark movie. That's what I liked about it. And I really appreciated the Christopher Nolan nods as well.
I know, right?
Thank you for acknowledging it, Ty. That's big of you.
Especially since
I finally I can't hide anymore. I admit it. You're right. It was in my face the whole fucking time. I can't deny it. As soon as I see it, I was like, God damn it.
It's Christmas.
Did Nolan ghostwrite this? Because
I can't.
Stop encouraging.
This guy's name all over.
On Dasher. On Prancer. Vixen.
But we hope everyone had a very Merry Christmas. Here is Christmas Day. This is available across all podcast feeds. Cult of Campbell, Cult of Lore, Cult Talk Conspiracy, and of course youtube.com/culttalknet. Make sure you guys follow us on all of our social media. It's very simple, at Cult Talk Net, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all the things. You can find us there. Always, if you have anything to say, if you have any comments, leave them in our comment section somewhere on any of our social medias. On YouTube, we're very good at responding.
We'll find them.
Find them. We're very good at responding. We have a very high response rate, so we like to keep it up that way. So let us know what you guys think of the Christmas Chronicles, and we hope you guys have a Merry Christmas and a safe Christmas as well. And if you guys need something to listen to, hopefully this filled the void as you go about your holiday travels. I've been Ty.
I've been Eric.
I've been Bailey.
And I'm Ben.
Have a Merry Christmas, and as always, stay groovy.
Stay groovy.
Have a groovy Christmas, if you will.
Oh, cheers.